Welcome, everyone. This is your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly partnered with the What the Funk shop. Please check out their store for all sorts of products. They have dice, miniatures, game master screens, home decorations, and many other things. You'll find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. And make sure that you use my code for a special discount. Tonight, I wanted to talk about it's a role-playing method for those of you that like to use miniatures and tiles in your tabletop RPG sessions. First, let's talk about some nuances related to that. There are some people that actually do not like using miniatures in tabletop role-playing games because they feel as if the miniatures are taking them away from the roleplay. They feel as if the attention is focused too much on the miniatures, on the tiles, and on all of those mm, aids, gaming aids. You could call them role-playing toys, but that's a bit that is you can call that if you want, but usually people refer to them in a like in a despective way. How do you say it? Like lessening their value, like, oh, you're playing with toys. But the miniatures are oftentimes employed in very precise tabletop RPGs where you have, for example, units of action points, and you need to carefully measure the different squares on the grid as you are moving because you are using an action point every time you move, or very precise systems. In that case, I am talking about games similar to Dungeon Tactics. In other cases, like Hackmaster, things happen on a second by second basis, and you have to be very precise on the squares that you are moving through, being very meticulous as to the placement, not only of enemies, of the blood that has been spilled, the changes in terrain elevation, etc. All about that. So even though you can play tabletop RPGs without miniatures, you can pretty much work your magic, put some brain power into making any tabletop RPG system out there viable to be played without miniatures and grids. Sometimes you think that's too much of an effort, right? Or if you already have this very well structured, very robust system using miniatures and grids, why not take advantage of it, right? But like I said, it all depends on what you want. Maybe someone wants to play online and you don't like to spend too much time moving the counters and dealing with the software, and suddenly people do not know where they are located, and you have to move the map around. Because, oh, you see the camera focused on here, and it turns out the character is all over up there, and you have to move the camera, dragging and pulling. So it all depends on what you're looking for. But I don't think that miniatures and tiles pull you away from the role play. As long as you are describing your actions and reactions, you're still playing a role. So I wanted to give you a role play method to further enhance that immersion, intensify the immersion, if you wish. When you're using your miniatures and your tiles, it's a good practice to project. Of course, the power of imagination is limitless. So try to project your point of view to the point of view of the miniature. If you want to, just like many war gamers do, you can lower your eyes to the level of the eyesight of the miniature so that you can see the world around the miniature if you wish. This is great if you have very elaborate tiles and dungeon pieces. You know, those typical like Dwarven Forge sort of tiles that you have these beautiful dungeon walls and some other like miniature trees and whatnot. So the thing about the miniatures and the tiles is that they are not there to replace your legs, to use a weird metaphor. They are not there to replace your legs when you are role playing. They are there to serve as a walking stick if you wish. You know, many explorers, hikers, they can pretty much cover a lot of ground without any aid whatsoever. They have very strong legs, great physical condition, and I'm talking like about the real champions out there, right? But some others may wish to use walking sticks. So miniatures, the dungeon tiles, they are great to take a look at very specific effects on the battlefield. They are not absolutely necessary, but if you have that sort of system that benefits from some those very specific battlefield related situations, factors, nuances, elements, definitely employ them if you wish. But never forget that you are playing a role. You're not playing a board game. You are experiencing the game world as your character. So try to do that. That's a great exercise, I would say. On my part, I always do it when I'm playing role-playing games or sometimes even war games. I like to project my point of view to the miniature. And I wonder at the world around me, even though you can see perhaps the plastic nature of the tiles or the miniatures, they're all painted, they're pieces of metal or plastic or resin. Your imagination paints over the rest, makes it even more realistic. So, whether you want to use miniatures or not, definitely don't forget that you are playing a role. This is not about miniatures and tiles becoming a hindrance to the imaginative process. This is about them potentially supporting that process and serving as mechanical aids if the system is very crunchy, very meticulous when it comes to area of effects, expending the, like I said, action points and whatnot, and many other mechanics. So I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the Super Thanks button. You can also check out the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, in tabletop role-playing games, you are not telling stories about your characters. You are experiencing the game world as your characters. If you have any other topics that you want me to cover, definitely let me know in the comment section. I'm always looking forward to sharing my thoughts and experiences on tabletop RPGs. So once again, thank you and see you later.